Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just doing my little clicky things to make sure everything is exactly how it needs to be. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Welcome to your ultimate glow up. We started right. So happy to be here with you. Before this class, I was feeling so much. Yeah, this class feels really important, and it is, for me personally, it's like a culmination of the inner work I've been doing for the last 17 years that has really absolutely changed my life. It is the root of all of the work I do with my clients. I've gotten to work with thousands of clients at this point, and this is really like the juice. This is like the like the essence of it, and I'm really excited to deliver it. I was feeling so many big feelings in my heart. Like my heart was like busting open with gratitude right before this. And I've been in a really beautiful space all morning with practice. I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to be here with people. So as we're getting started, I'm going to be sharing my intention, and I would love for you to go to the chat box, those of you who are here live, and share with me your intention. Why are you here? What are you feeling called to receive? And I will say that this is a space for receiving. I want you to really lean back and to let the words I'm going to say, let the practice really wash over you. Let it integrate. I'm going to help you do that at the end, but let this be a space where you can really receive. So, like I said, go to the chat box and let me know what you would like to receive. Why are you here? My intention, the intention I'm holding for this class, is the words that came to me initially were open to the fullness of yourself and the fullness of life. And this is not this that's a big intention, right? That's a pretty big intention. There's no formulas for this. There's no step-by-step guide. There's no quick fix. There's honestly not even, and we're going to talk about this, there's not even like a reaching a final point of that becoming what has happened, opening to the fullness of yourself in life. That is something that has to be, it is a commitment, it is a practice, it is a moving, like living, breathing practice and way of operating. It's a way of operating life, right? So this is a really big conversation we're going to have today. This is a really, this, I mean, this isn't just like I said, this isn't formulas, this isn't quick fixes, this isn't about getting somewhere. This is about really allowing a way of being to come forward. My belief is that this way of being is already within you, it's already within everyone. It's not like changing yourself into something, it's not fixing yourself. We're going to talk about this, but it's allowing this to come forward. But by integrating this way of being and learning, training your body, training your mind, training, letting your spirit and your heart like open yourself to come into balance with yourself, balance with this fullness of yourself, and balance with life, it naturally comes forward. It doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be pushed. It doesn't have to be trained. It's who you innately are. And this way of being, right, it will evolve over time. And I know all of you, I'm sure, are already committed to doing this inner work. You know, and let me know if this is you, you know that that devoting to nurturing yourself and this relationship with yourself creates amazing external fruits. Okay. So over time, this way of being is going to, it changes everything. It changes everything. And I'm going to share a bit of my story with you. I think it's really important to know who you're learning from. But it really changes everything. It changes your physical body. It changes like all of the systems within your body. We'll talk about that. It changes your thoughts, it changes your perspectives, it changes how you engage with people, how people engage with you, how you engage with life, how life engages with you. It changes your relationship with money, with your career, with business, with your creativity. Like it really changes everything, and not from this place of like forcing something to change, or like just continuing to repeat these patterns of wounding, right? But by like letting your innate core that is love and wisdom to come forward and to guide the show. And when you know how to do that, and when you have that skill and that tool, that practice of allowing that, like, again, I'm speaking from so much reverence and so much like just, yeah, just like reverence for this path. Because as you'll see, I've like been through the ringer with it. Like this, like being on this path has really been just like so beautiful and beneficial. Okay. I really wish for more peace and simplicity in my life. Yeah. Beautiful. I'd like to move forward with my business in a way that feels natural instead of constantly trying to feel like I have to mold myself into what I think others would want from me. Amen. Amen. Yes. And it will, I promise you, it will work way better when you do that too. Um, get past some trauma too, which is shut down my voice. Okay, amazing. So I just have so much to say, you all. I have so much to tell you. I have so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I just have so much to share. Okay, so thank you for sharing your intentions. I have my notes over here, so you might see me looking at my notes because I want to make sure I cover everything that I want to talk about. The last intention I'll share from this is that, this is work for you, right? This is your personal work, and it will impact your life. But the other thing that, like, it's open to the fullness of you and the fullness of life, and it really does help you open to life. I feel so emotional just saying this. Like it, I have learned, you all, I have like, again, like I've been through a lot in my life, and I've also accomplished a lot. And my experience, what I know to be true at this point, is that the highest joys come from this openness to life, this being in your service. And service isn't something that's like martyrism, it's not draining. Like when you're in your true gifts, which we're going to talk about, when you're in your deepest service, it's actually so joyful. It's so joyful. And Alexis is going to be a big one for you with your business. Like when you're really in your gifts, in your work, and in your business, your work does not feel like work. Of course, there's like challenging times that you'll go through that are actually like initiations to deepen your work, in many ways. Of course, there's like, like I finished my taxes yesterday. Was it like quote unquote fun? No, but like the level of devotion that I have for my work, and the level of like joy. Yeah, it's just like this ultimate, like amazing joy I have in running my business, that anytime I have to do like a tedious task or anything like that, it's just part of something bigger. And like I love running the business, and that it's truly a life-giving business, right? And so you'll feel more fulfillment. You'll feel like it'll start this love that you let come through will touch everything, every conversation you start to have, every like it, the things that you do. Even, like I'm in a band and in the choir and like get to sing regularly, and that's fun, and it all feels like an expression of love in my life. It all feels like really deeply fulfilling, and that's something that you're going to experience too. Okay, so here's some little logistical pieces of how to get the most out of this class. So I am a big fan of you really listening for the things that are meant for you. Okay, so there might be things I'm a big fan of discernment. That's what it is. I have gotten really good at teaching in a way, at least in my experience and from like feedback from my clients, of teaching in a way that isn't like projecting my truth or like my experiences onto you all and being like, this is ultimate truth, like knowing the difference between like ultimate truth and my truth. Okay. And being able to speak to that. So I want you to listen and hear for what resonates with you. I also, this is just so good for like anyone, if you're someone who you're like me, you love to learn, you love to receive, um, you have teachers in your life. Something I heard relatively recently that made a lot of sense to me was that the teacher, and like a teacher could be me, it can be like this plant can be my teacher. Like the water over there is my teacher. A teacher is like, we can really learn from anyone, honestly, in anything in our lives. But you'll be able to hear, you'll be able to truly hear what they're saying and feel a deep resonance. So if I'm talking and you're like, this sounds like really like it's not landing with me, then that's fine. And it's just like, it's not the right message for you at this moment. And that's great. And that's great information. You don't have to try to force it to work for you, anything like that. But if it is landing for you, then great. It's landing for you, right? And there's no right or wrong with that. We're going to be doing a practice later on. So I'm going to be teaching for a while, and then we're going to be doing a practice. And yeah, so you can, there'll be a replay that will be sent out as soon as possible after this. It has to go through the whole like uploading process and all of that before it can be sent out. But I would encourage you, once we get to the practice, and I'll give this heads up then, you don't want to leave mid-practice. You want to stay for the practice. So stay for as long as you need. If you need to leave before that practice, that's great. Once we get to the practice, I'm going to be like, we're going into the practice. So like stay for the practice or like head out now and like listen to it later so that you're not like leaving in the middle of a practice, you know what I mean? For your benefit. And let's see here. One thing that also became really clear for me, and I see some people here who this applies to, is that, this is a standalone class, right? This is a free offering, a standalone class, but this is also the opening of I'm opening a school of being. It's called Whole School of Being. And so it's funny because I actually started teaching meditation. That was where my business started. And I started, my first course ever was called Worthy. And I actually had the first person who signed up for the School of Being, Whole School of Being, was one of being a long time ago client from Worthy. And I was like, this is like Worthy 6.0. And yeah, so this is like the first class of that series that's going to be happening, that's starting in 2 weeks. So this is, if you're already in Whole, if you're someone who's already in Whole, this is part of that. Like this is pre-work for that. But if you're not going to be in Whole, if you're going to be in Whole, great. If you're not, this is a standalone class that can live on its own from Whole. But if you are in Whole, this is pre-work for that. Okay. All right, great. Great. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we get into the goods? Dana said, I want to expand my business in authentic alignment with my soul and create abundance from that flow state. I also want to release any blocks, limiting beliefs that are negatively affecting my relationship with money, resources, and being seen in my work. Great. This is the root of all of that. I will say in all of my other courses, we get into like I have Sacred Sales, which is the next course coming up. Then I'm doing another launch of Wealthy. And all of these are going to have like free classes that go with them that you'll learn a lot from. Identity, which is about directly like your success identity. And again, innate identity, not like changing yourself to become what you think should be successful. And scale. Those are the things that are coming up in the next year. And those are like very specific to this, but to each of those topics. So I would advise like looking at those. If anyone wants deeper support, the Heart-Led Business Collective is where it is at, because honestly, like you can go look at it. It's just a ton of support in all the areas, a ton of support, like weekly calls, one-on-one support for like a really delicious price for what you're getting. So FYI. Okay, now we're getting into the things. I'm so excited. Okay. I'm also just seeing so many friends. Okay. Hey. So for those of you just coming in, if you weren't here the whole time, I would definitely recommend when the replay is sent out, going and listening back into the beginning pieces as well. I would just encourage you to get like the full picture. And it's hot in this room. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be sweating by the end of this. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit of my story so that you can kind of get an idea of why I'm even teaching this. I always feel like that's really important to know. And like, in order for me, it's really helped to learn from people that I feel a level of like for instance, like in the world of business coaching, whenever I've hired someone as a coach who I don't really know a lot about them and I've only hired them because they make a lot of money, it just like the things have fallen flat with me. So I know in my experience, and this might be true for you, this might not, it's really helped me to work with people and learn from people who we've had similar experiences, or there's things that I resonate with in their life. They are actually living and embodying a way that I feel called to, or that I really value. Like I someone who I love and respect as a human. So, like I said at the beginning, this is the work I've been doing. This is like the core of the work I've been doing in my life for 17 years. When I was 15, I reached a breaking point where it was like I was either going to heal or I was not going to be around for much longer. I was contemplating suicide. And this is like, I'm not going to get into a lot of intense trauma with you all and like stories and all that kind of stuff, but just know I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, a lot. Like the kind where you later look around and you're like, oh, this isn't, I'm sure you all have had this experience. You look around, or not you, all of you, but some of you, you look around and you're like, oh, this isn't actually normal. This isn't actually like everybody's experience. It's some people's experience. What is normal, right? But like, oh, this isn't everybody's experience. Yeah, but like all the kinds of trauma you can think of, like all of it. And so when I was 15, again, I was at this breaking point where it was like literally life or death at that point. And life chose me. I chose life. I started healing and I started really immersing myself. I lived in very rural Tennessee, so I didn't have a lot of access to like teachers or, like facilities or anything like that. And I started studying myself, like whatever I could find, books, learning things online, engaging in practices myself. I started learning about meditation, yoga, somatics, tapping, breath work, all of these things. And then I started over time, gained more and more access to teachers, to facilitators. I went and did a yoga training that ended up, I chose it randomly based on like the time that I had available to me, but it ended up being very rich in like philosophy and meditation, which was perfect for me. I I ended up moving to I had like the full story, like it's, I had like a near death experience that really catapulted me into my business. My dad had a near death experience. These happened like 4 months apart from each other. And again, that just pushed me to be like an entrepreneur, even though I thought I was going to wait 5 more years to save more money. And yeah, I went through the whole thing of like, I was put on medication when I was 15, was able to take myself off when I was 21. There's a lot of nuance to that. I'm not a medical doctor, so that's not advice, but and yeah, and even like recently I've been able to like, all that while I was learning tools, I was practicing, I was like, literally, I remember when I was put on the medication, they were like, this is just how you are. Like, that's literally what they said to me. They were like, this is just how you are. And this was like medication for anxiety. I was diagnosed with social anxiety, which looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was traumatized. Duh, I was socially anxious. Duh, I was completely shut down and like hiding from people. But they were like, this is how you are. That's the worst thing you could ever say to someone who has experienced trauma. But I remember I have this visceral memory of seeing my doctor say that to me and just being like, no, absolutely not. This is not just how I am. And they were like, you're going to be on medication the rest of your life. And I really started to learn about the roots of how transformation occurs and how I can actually access joy and peace in my body. And, I used to be like, I used to have so much insomnia and just was like riddled with anxiety, you all. And like, that is not my experience anymore at all. And it hasn't been in a long time. I went from socially anxious shutdown, insomnia. I had stage 3 adrenal fatigue, um, like sexual trauma, all this stuff, to feeling really good in my body and feeling like actually shifting my hormones, from burnt out to not. Like, I've literally gone through like the process of having my hormones tested and have been able to actually see that. Um, I don't, like, I have moments of anxiety, but I know how to like shift it and come back to feeling grounded. I lead a business I can say with the honest in my heart truth is like so aligned with who I am and my gifts. And it feels so good to run. It feels so good to run. And I receive really well in my business. I've been doing it 7 years. In August will be 7 years. It's been very sustainable. And I've even been able to go, if you've been following me and tracking, you have seen that I've gone through some hard stuff relatively recently. I got into a relationship where, yeah, there was a lot of things I didn't see. He ended up having a pretty severe psychosis, like extended psychosis episode, um, and became very violent. And it was extremely scary. It was extremely traumatic in many ways. And these tools, I've had so many people all the time, like from healers who I work with, my friends, which all my friends are like incredible wise women. Um, yeah, I've had so many people reflect to me that like they're like, wow, you were able to get through that like really gracefully. And I'm like, yeah, it's because of these tools. It's because of that embodiment. It's because of I was able to like be like, okay, I know what to do with this because I've done it before. Um, and it's been really powerful. So yeah, I was really initiated, like I've been initiated to learning to experience my wholeness and joy and ease in my body by really experiencing the opposite of that, you all. So this is where these teachings are coming from. I've also gotten to study with like incredible teachers across many different modalities, from yogic philosophy, Buddhism, which if you're someone who has gone into those lineages, you know that it's not just like Buddhism isn't just meditation, yoga isn't just movement. There's all these different parts of it. There's breath work, there's embodiment, there's prayer, there's devotion, there's working with your energetic centers, there's working with your physical body, um, working with the unseen realms. Like there's so much that goes into it. And yeah, learning from nature, both teachers of nature, nature ways, and nature herself. Has been one of the biggest teachers. But yeah, I'm just very, very grateful and I can't say enough how grateful I am that like I really feel grateful for all the experiences I've had and all the teachers I've had. And so what I'm teaching, everything I'm going to be getting into more of today is like a culmination of that. Yay. Okay, so the first big thing I want to go over with you all, this class is called Your Ultimate Glow Up. So it's a very like, who knows, whenever I'm in a place in my business, I'm really excited about it actually, where like I have this really clear directory and I already know I'm going to be teaching this class again. And the name, who knows what the name will be, but this name is like, there's a lot of conversations if you're on like TikTok or Instagram that are about like having your glow up, like this product or this like way of cleaning your face or this way of, and those are great. Like I love self-care. I love like, doing my like dry brush and like all of that. I love putting makeup on and looking pretty and having my earrings and like all of that kind of stuff. But those things aren't, it's not like a lot of people have it backwards. They're like, if I have the external things, if I like fix my face, if I like go out here and make more money, if I get in my girl boss era, then I'll feel what I want to feel. And it doesn't work that way. Okay, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So the ultimate glow up is when those things aren't coming from, they're not being perpetuated by like shaming yourself and feeling like you need to be someone different and you need to be better and you need to fix your clothes and you need to like fix your, it's such a like, all of these things too, especially for women, are so like based in our worth is in our beauty, is in our youth. And I'm just like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I love being beautiful, but like, fuck my worth being like intrinsically tied to those things that will come and go or change in how they're, like the whole like the very like commercialized idea of what beauty is. Okay. So your ultimate glow up is actually learning and practicing to, through working with your trauma, through like healing your body, through working with your nervous system, through working with the energetic flow in your body. And we're going to talk about all of this through working with your mind, through working with your consciousness, working with your heart, bringing out, allowing more love, allowing more light. Like there's actual light that resides in your body, okay? That resides in your body, right? And science can prove this, right? So being able to bring that out and let that be what's operating, right? And this is the opposite of toxic positivity. This is opposite of like bypassing or spiritually bypassing, because it will require you to look into those shadowy places, to look at the grief that you've been holding on to since you were literally a child. It will require you to feel those things. It will require you to make really courageous decisions about like what you're going to tolerate in your life. And sometimes that means removing people or stepping away from a career or changing a way of operating in your business that like kind of worked but is actually not truly meant for you. This is truly courageous work. Like having an ultimate glow up is truly, truly, truly courageous work. But the people who I call in, and you're here, I know this is you, and a lot of you, I know you personally, I know who you are. This is the kind of work you want. You're like, I don't want someone to just tell me what to do. I don't want to just like slap on like, you know, something to try to make myself like feel good, but it's just a quick fix. You want to actually do like the deep work. You want to do the deep work. And you want to have like an actual transformation, actual sustainable transformation. So you're in the right place. Okay, so the myths. I have some myths around what a glow up is. Well, the myths are actually what it isn't, and then we're going to get into what it is. So first of all, the myth of arrival. Okay, and I want you to really hear these. You might want to take some notes around these. You might want to come back and listen to these, because like when you really get these and integrate them, it will again, these are perspective shifts. These are shifts with how you engage with life. This is deep work. This is really deep work. And it takes time to integrate, and we're going to talk about that. So the myth of arrival. So often people, and maybe you've experienced this, and maybe you're like seeing yourself now, catching yourself. This has really, like when I was starting my business, this is a great example of this. This was really something that drove me. I really felt like eventually I was just going to figure everything out. And it was only going to be like, it felt really hard, and I was going to figure it out. And then once I figured it out, it would be figured out. And then I wouldn't have to figure it out anymore because it was figured out. Right. And so I was like chasing a fix, chasing something that would get me to that point of arrival. And this can be true in business, career, in your relationships, right? Like a lot of people see marriage as the arrival. Like you did it, you got married, you did the thing. But there is there isn't a resolution. There isn't this like point where you're like reaching the mountaintop and then you're just going to stay there forever. It's not. And when we let that dissolve and let that like chasing and trying to fix things and chasing a quick fix and just it resolves so much conflict in our system, so much frustration, so much shame, so much feeling like there's something wrong with us or something that we can't figure out, or like there's a problem that we can't see or a solution that we can't figure out. Like it really helps you actually become present to the journey. Okay. And this is huge. This is a huge one. And let me know as I'm saying these, I would love to know if any of these resonate with you. If you're like, oh, yeah, that one's for me, let me know in the chat box. I would love to know how all these things land with you. Okay. The second myth, the myth of sustaining a peak state. This is very similar to the myth of arrival, right? But this is like a lot of times this happens and it's a very like addictive quality, right? And I felt a bit of this in myself. I had one of the most profound spiritual experiences I've ever had in my life. I actually wasn't doing any, I'll just tell you all about it. I wasn't practicing. I was reading a book, actually. I was reading a book. The book's right over there. Is it? Where is it? No, actually, it's on my bedside table in my bed. It's a book about meditation, but I wasn't meditating. I wasn't taking any plant medicine. I wasn't doing anything. I was just like on the couch reading this book. And I saw, like, I had this flash of, it was like light. And I say it's like light because there's, a lot. Okay. So I do a lot of Buddhist study, and in Buddhist study, they call this like a lot of different things. Mahamudra, which is like the Great Seal, experiencing like clear light, but it's really just this like this, and they say they're like, it's hard, it's like words can't describe it, and that's literally what it feels like. It was like light, but it was like everything but like nothing at the same time, and it felt like eternity but also like no time at the same time, and it was really incredible. And I asked one of my teachers about it, and he was like, yeah, that could be from like, I was like, I wasn't practicing, I wasn't doing anything. And he was like, well, you've been practicing, and it probably just like it's normal that sometimes you might have an experience that isn't like while you're practicing, but it's from an accumulation of practice. And I was like, great. And I literally for 3 days after that moment felt the clearest I've ever felt in my life. I just felt so much joy. Like I felt like I was on drugs. It was really weird. like that's the only way to describe it. I was just like walking around like, and like not like aloof, but like really grounded and just really clear. And but then this was maybe in like 2021, and for like a year or two after that, I was like, how do I do that again? 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 And thankfully, I got some advice pretty quickly from someone who was like, don't chase it. Don't chase it. Don't chase it. But I think this happens with people, right? Where it's like they reach a peak state. They have like a peak moment in their life. A lot of people, I see this happen a lot. Not everyone who does plant medicine, like people who have reverence for it and understand that, but like plant medicine can quickly turn to drugs and poison, right? Anything can quickly turn from like sex, like anything that brings food, like anything can turn from this like really pleasurable peak state to poison and like chasing it. Especially if it's something tangible that you can get your hands on. Like for me with that experience, I couldn't go out and like buy it or like go to a retreat and like experience it again. But people do this a lot with plant medicine where they'll like start trying it and then just like keep doing without actually integration. And that was such a powerful experience for me. And I see directly how it's impacted my life, how it's integrated into my being and how I experience life. It's been really powerful. Okay. So people also do this with business milestones. They'll reach a milestone and then they're like, next one, right? The myth of solving yourself. This is also a huge one. People, and they're unconscious of it. I used to do this a lot, okay? But like we feel like we're a problem to fix. And people do this to their business, to their finances, to their health. It's not a problem to fix. It's not a problem to fix. And this is like a subtle shift, but it will change everything. It's not something wrong with it to fix. It's just learning how to nurture. It's learning how to nurture the health, learning how to nurture the wholeness, learning how to nurture the well being. So it's like, yeah, we don't just have to constantly be like, if we feel like we're constantly have to solve ourselves and solve and fix ourselves, that's just gonna, it's just like a habitual way of operating that's just gonna continue, and you'll never feel good enough for yourself. You'll never feel good enough for yourself. Okay. The myth of a singular pathway to arrival. I love this one. This is a huge one. So a lot of people, when they're on a growth journey and expansion journey, again, this relates to kind of the solving a problem to fix, or feeling like you're a problem to solve or something to fix. This stems from that, because if you feel like you're a problem to solve or something to fix, you're an equation, right? And there's X plus Y equals Z, and you're trying and trying and trying to find Z, or you're trying and trying and trying to find, the variable, the thing that's going to fit this equation to solve the problem. So what is it? And I see this a lot. I actually had this conversation with a client the other day. When people are learning about modalities that they want to engage in, there's a lot of conversation. Like I see this conversation a lot around, somatics versus mindset, as if they're not literally actually tied to each other in the same thing. Like as if your brain isn't actually part of your nervous system, and your thoughts impact your body and your body impacts your thoughts. Like there's not one that's better than the other, because you are whole. You are not a problem to solve. There is not a solution. There is not a, like, again, a variable that's going to fit in perfectly. And if you just do this, of course, like sometimes, like, for instance, when I was healing from adrenal fatigue, it really helped me to work with my hormones and to like work with my nervous system. But actually, no, I take that back. It's like, it really was, I was doing all of it at the same time. I've done the spiritual work, I've done the energetic work, I've done the nervous system work, I've done the mindset work, I've done the hormonal work, the like lymphatic system, all the systems of the body. Like it's all interconnected. And even beyond that, like our bodies, it's not, I get so amped up on this, right? Like our bodies are not even fully like separate from the rest of life. Like literally, I know that's like such a fluffy thing that people say, but if you think about it, like my skin is literally falling off all over this house and turning into dust. And then it goes back to the earth. And then I eat food from the earth and then it becomes me. Like, tell me I'm not right. Tell me I'm not right. Okay. So there's not a singular pathway. There's not something, some modality, some coach, some course, some anything that if you just join it, if you just do it, if you just do this practice, if you just do that breath work, then it will, again, like, then it will solve the problem. And then you'll sustain a peak state and then you'll arrive. Like, no, it's not that. It's not that. Okay, so then the next one. All right, I'm glad this is landing. The myth of transcendence. The myth of transcendence. All right, I'm here talking about experiencing these, like, this really beautiful way of living. And but there's not this moment where, again, it's like all of these are connected, where you're just like never going to experience anything negative again. And the further you deepen integrate these ways of operating with the world, the more you recognize, like, oh, these negative things are these things I see that I deem as negative, right? And I can say, like, I feel like I can say this as someone who has been like directly abused. You know what I mean? Like very directly abused, like experience, like, from childhood, right? These things are like deeply teachers. The negative emotions, the negative experiences, they are here, right? The feelings that come up, the anxiety, the shame, the fear, the frustration, the guilt, the grief, these are just as valuable. And if not more, because collectively, and so many of us just push them aside and bypass them and push them down and don't want to reflect on them, and don't want to feel them. So in that way, they're kind of even more teachers because they've built up and like it's time to learn from them. They are just as valuable as learning from your pleasure and learning from your resource and learning from your joy and learning from these like beautiful positive experience when all the money comes in and when the love is so good and when you're like doing the thing that you always wanted to do. Those are things that are powerful teachers too. These like, and it's again, it's not about like transcending and never experiencing one or the other. It's really about learning to be with all of it. This is opening to the fullness of life. Okay. All right. 2 more myths. The myth of becoming better. The myth of becoming better. Again, this is very much like that problem to solve, something to fix. You're not becoming better. You're not becoming someone else. Like this is something I see all the time, especially if you're a business person and you're online and you're like posting the things. It's always the marketing and the lessons are always like, how like already be her, already like, you know, like be the person that you're meant to be, or like be this other person, or like change your, it's all really based in changing yourself. And I just like, again, these are very subtle shifts, but I trust that you all are like super self-aware and super like, yeah, smart. But these are super subtle shifts, but it's like not changing yourself to be better, but it's really nurturing who you actually are. And I feel like it's not like there's a lot of like when I feel like becoming better or like changing yourself, or like when I think of manifesting, there's a lot of like kind of this energy, like this reaching energy. But actually, what's really helped me is like this deepening and this like grounding and actually like letting who I truly am and nurturing who I truly am, and not just like trying to be this idea of who I think I'm supposed to be. Okay. And then last one, the myth that healing is a treadmill, that is a bad treadmill and you should just get off of it. Okay. So this is something I've seen some conversation around too, that like, stop healing, you're done healing. Of course, if you are addicted to healing and again, you think you're a problem that needs to be fixed, it's actually time to have a different relationship with healing, because you actually can't stop healing. You can't stop healing. Part of life is healing. Part of life is healing, because decay and death and darkness is literally intrinsically tied to growth and life and growth. When I look at my plant, it is always meaning little like, oh, here's one. Can you see this plant up here? No. This plant, there's like a little dead, right? That when I pull it off, guess what? I helped it heal. I helped it release, you know, this like thing that it's been holding on to. And instead of making it just hold on to it, I just took it off, released it, and I let it go. And now there's more space for it to grow. There's another one. Now there's more space for it to grow. And it's growing really well. Right? Healing is natural. Healing is a part of life. It's just our relationship to it. Okay, so what does the glow up actually come from? It's so simple. It's simple. Here's the thing. This work is very simple, but simple does not necessarily mean like super fast all the time. And it does not always mean easy. But it is very simple. Like the more you lean into it and the more you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. You're like, yeah, you're just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And this is actually, all the other ways are super complicated and cause like a ton of like cognitive dissonance and conflict in my system and like frustration. But this way is simple. And it's really about embracing a path to wholeness. And I want to break that down. Embracing a path. So you are continuously, you have to re-embrace it. Embracing in the present moment. You are continuously remembering, because you'll have moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I was operating from trying to fix myself. Oh my gosh, I was like shaming myself. Oh my gosh, I'm catching myself in, these old ways of operating that just aren't beneficial, that aren't embracing a path to wholeness. Embracing, you're continuing to embrace and continuing to embrace a path. There's no arrival. Embrace wholeness. Is be on the path of wholeness, because it is going to keep evolving in life. It will call forward more of that wholeness. Everything can be everything can be a teacher. Everything can be something where you can be like come into deeper love with yourself. Every conversation, every time you engage with your business, every piece of content you create, every piece of art you make can help you come into more wholeness, more love, right? And that wholeness is really just that connection to your true core essence. So in my experience, and what I've learned from my teachers, is that at our core, right, our innate being, which is connected to all other beings, it is love, it is power, it is infinite, truly, truly. And again, these aren't just words to me. This is like the truth that I have like seen and know and like live by, right? That is who we truly are. But we come into this physical body, we come into this life, we come into, experiences like a booty ton of trauma, or like, chronic illness, or these things can come up, and they create what term that I love, that I've heard again and again, is like obscuration. It's like it's obscuring. It is like a veil that creates this feeling of separation between your awareness and your perspective and how your body operates, and that core of love, that core of powerful, loving wisdom that is just like open to yourself and life, and open to all of it, and can like navigate life with such beauty and grace no matter what, and can do like really incredible things, and also go through really hard things, and like, yeah, navigate all of it. And these obscurations, so it's learning. And that's a big part of like my work with all of my clients, and my work in what we're going to do today, and my work with, yeah, all of my long-term clients, all of in Whole School of Being, we're going to go deep into this. But it's learning how to continue to lift this veil and peel back these layers, right? And when you see them, right, when you see them and you feel them and you move through them, they again, it's simple. They can dissolve really easily. But so many people, right, experience this, like the big me is the wounds, is the fear, is the illusion. So people get stuck in this, like the chasing the success, the chasing this. And again, I will tell you, it's not about, we don't pendulum. This isn't about like disowning success or being like, I can't be beautiful because like beauty is bad, or all these things. There's a middle path, right? There's a middle path where like money is a resource. Like I love being successful. I love making a lot of money. I love taking care of my body. I love like, yeah, like I used to feel so ugly, you all, and now I truly feel like a beautiful person, and experience that in my life. And like, it's from like I know it's from my core. It's from my core, right? Oh, yeah. So what this whole thing is about, moving along. I have a concept that came through for me, and it really came through around money, but it applies in everywhere, right? And if you have been in Wealthy, you've heard this. If my last free class I taught on money was called Sacred Exchange. I'm doing another free money class over the summer called Worthy and Wealthy, which actually was the name for Wealthy was Wealthy. It was called Worthy and Wealthy. And so I'll talk about this in relationship to money there. I talked about it in Sacred Exchange, but it really applies here. So this concept is the survival to thriving continuum. And the whole goal of this is to, so this awareness, so it's understanding that there's this continuum that occurs. And this can happen either internally, like with our energy, our emotions, or it can happen in the physical realm. So it can happen in the non-seen realm and the physical realm, which these aren't two separate things. These are interconnected. That's a continuum as well. Like unseen to seen is a continuum, right? But the more we can learn so actually, let me break down the continuum first. Let me backtrack a little bit. So the continuum is survival. So being like an actual scarcity, right? So scarcity, you're in survival. And there's a tangible sense of this, and then there's also a inner sense of this. So someone might be in a tangible, like thriving, like have millions and millions of dollars, but in their inner world be in that like survival scarcity mode. Okay. Then there is, oh wait, I like I'm trying to remember, I like didn't write down the exact words that okay, then there's safe, right? Where you're like, I'm good, everything's good, we're good, everything's good, we're safe. Then there's like supported, where you can really start to feel like, oh, there's like actually like there's a lot here for me. There's a lot of life here for me. There's a lot of me here for me. There's a lot of money here for me. And again, you might have that tangibly, but not have it emotionally. You might have it in your inner world, but not have that like be spiritually or emotionally or in your like well-being, your sense of well-being, feel supported, but might be like either safe or in, you know, like survival, scarcity, financially, those kind of things. And then there's thriving, right? Where, and these are all going to look different for everyone. Money is such an interesting topic. And if you haven't been to my money classes, I really recommend, like, that is one of my biggest gifts and one of my, like, I love teaching about money and I have a lot to say on it. Those of you who are in Wealthy, who are in my money classes, you know, like I've literally been teaching that class nonstop for like 5 years because it's lifetime access and I teach on it live, 2 live calls a month in it. So I have so much to say about money, but like thriving isn't this like, oh, if you have multi-millions of dollars, you're thriving. It's going to look different for everyone based on what's actually resourcing you. So thriving for me might look thriving different from, you know, my business is very simple. I don't have a bunch of employees at this point in my life. And for quite a few years, I don't want to say like, I never want this, but like, I don't want to have a lot of like operating expenses, a lot of people to manage. I just really like the simplicity. Like it doesn't take me a long time to run my business every day. And I really like that because I like doing other things and I still like do really well, you know, where someone else thriving might look different. If they have like a business where they have like 20, 100 employees, like it'll look totally different. So the whole point of this is this work is going to help you move your inner being. So your relationship with yourself. And again, these are like so interconnected because our physical body is so connected to our thoughts, our perspectives, our energetic body, like it's so interconnected. But it's you're wanting to like open up along that continuum. And I have a great story of this. One of my teachers is a Buddhist meditation teacher, right? He's more than that. He's like an incredible, just like an incredible human being. But he left Tibet during a time where there was a lot of violence going on in Tibet. So he was a refugee from Tibet. Tibet was being colonized by China. He like literally left, was like being shot at while being left. Like, talk about, this is like real survival, tangible scarcity. You know what I mean? Like, that's real scarcity. He left his home, walked across the Himalayas for 20 something days without enough food. You know, some people, I know of people who, like, I have a friend here in town whose father also did that. And they were literally like eating their shoes to survive. It's like, and I've talked to him about it, and he was able, I was like, how did you feel during that? And he was like, I was able to feel really excited because I knew that something good was going to be coming. I knew something good was going to be coming. And he ended up living in India. He moved to the United States. He became a really like respected teacher. He lives in a house that was like gifted to him by his students, and like, you know, is fully supported by traveling and teaching and being in his practice. Sounds pretty good to me, right? Like, so it just goes to show that, and of course, like that, I believe in reincarnation, and I see him as someone who has had like he didn't just practice this life, you know what I mean? Like, that is built up from lives. And but it's like such a good example of how when you have that inner stability and that inner thriving, and you're able to hold on to that, the tangible, the external thriving will meet that, even if you go through a period where things dissolve away, right? And I have had that experience. Like, I lost my relationship. I saw that, like, oh, this person who I thought this person was, there's a lot that is not true. Like, I found out he was cheating on me. I found out he had lied to me about a ton of different things. That there was just a lot, because there was a lot of mental illness I didn't see, actually, like personality disorders that impact things. He was also like abusing a lot of like really, really powerful spiritual teachings. And that is extremely dangerous, you all. And that like came back around. And so, like, he got cleared out. I couldn't stay in my house. I didn't have a secure place to live for like 2 months. I couldn't run my business in the way I had. And I really had to practice. And like, I won't say it was like, again, it was simple, but it wasn't easy. But this holding on to this like internal thriving, and like working with my body, working with my nervous system, letting myself feel my grief, letting myself feel my fear, and continue to come back to this like core of love and power and wisdom. And because of that, like, again, I can say from my own experience and like from feedback and just being honest, like, I feel like I've been able to move through it. Like, this is the kind of thing that literally could have, like, I could have never been the same after this. You know what I mean? Like, I could have become, like, there's a lot of data out there that shows that when people go through this level of a traumatic experience, like, you become an addict, you become really bitter. um I'm thinking of, I just watched season 3 of, what's it called, White Lotus. And I'm thinking, if you've seen it, there's like the guy who, is this a spoiler? Should I not give a spoiler? Is it a spoiler? Okay, I'll just say I won't give a spoiler in case someone wants to watch it. But there's like people who literally hold on to anger and hold on to these things their whole life, and it literally like just like hangs your whole life. And it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And these are like extreme versions of that. But yeah. So how do you actually create a thriving inner being? How do you actually do that? Okay. So what you need to do, so there's a lot that goes into this, but for the sake of this call, I'm going to be covering a few of them. One, working with your nature instead of against it. Okay. This is the biggest thing. So your nature, again, working with your nature is working with who you truly are. who you truly are, learning to nurture your body, learning to nurture your gifts, learning to actually recognize your values and lead life from your values, which I see as truth, as the truth, right? Truth aligned with this like wisdom, love, and power core. Um, yeah. So like with the gifts, and I'm going to talk about each of these, a few of them individually, but we're going to be going deeper into like I if you can't tell, I just have a lot to say about all of this. So with your gifts, okay, your gifts are, there's a couple of ways to recognize them, and I really recommend, like I'm going to be saying a lot right now, I really recommend you going back and listening to this again. And again, this is like deep work and like journaling on it, actually taking the time to reflect, because for the sake of today's call, we don't have as much time to like for me to like workshop it with you and like guide you through it. um but we'll have more time for that later on in whole. I have more time for that in all of my courses. We get into things a lot more deeply. So what didn't feel natural at first? Okay, so there's okay, I'm just looking at my notes. So a couple of ways to recognize your gifts are: one, something that you had to overcome, something that didn't feel natural for you, but you overcame. So an example of this for me is speaking, my voice. My voice. I make a living public speaking. I'm on, I'm teaching classes. I've taught classes with like hundreds of signups. I have had thousands of clients, paying clients, and thousands more who have just tuned into my podcast, tuned into my free offerings. Um, that did not come naturally to me. I didn't even talk until I was 3, you all. I didn't even say words. My parents thought that I had a developmental disorder. Like that's how not natural that was to me. Um, I was diagnosed with social anxiety because I had such a hard time learning to talk. And it's something that I had to learn. It's something that, and again, I don't think it's necessarily something that I wasn't like innately born with or like in my being, but like somehow I came out of the womb not wanting to talk and like feeling really shut down. Okay. That's one way to tell. Another, and I like sing all the time. Like that's really huge for me if you like looked at the rest of my life. It might be something that does come naturally to you, but at times you've like over relied on it to compensate for other areas, right? So a lot of people do this with their intellect, right? With like their very like logical mind. Like someone who's very smart and has a high level of like like logical intelligence. There's all different kinds of intelligence, right? So intelligence isn't just your mind, it's not just like an IQ test. There's like, I think everybody's a genius. Like honestly, everybody's a genius in my book, whether they have like a low IQ or not, like everybody's a genius. I've spent a lot of time in high school. I spent a lot of time with some of the kids my age in special education who like, you know, couldn't operate in like a regular class, but seeing like, you know, some of them were savants, some of them were like geniuses who like could literally recall like these bits of information that I'm like, how is that in your brain? Like some of them, um there was this one girl who had this, like she had brain damage as a child, but her like emotional, her, she was so sweet and her heart was so huge, right? So it's like, I think everybody's a genius. um so again, like the example is like the intellect. You might overly, this was a big one for me, I overly relied on my intellect. I overly relied on like my logical brain and figuring things out, and like became an engineer with solving equations, right? And like, and had to learn how to balance that with other forms of intellect. Um, but it's still a gift. It's something that I'm good at. I'm good at like being logical. So the another way is what comes naturally, but we don't really see it a lot of times. We don't really think it's enough. Like it's the kind of thing where it comes really naturally to you, but you doubt it a lot. So an example for me is like the last couple of days I've had before I came to teach this class, there was moments that would come up where I'd be like, is this basic shit? Like, does everybody know this? Is this going to be helpful for anyone? I'm like, what is that? What is that? what is that, right? So reflect on these questions and what come into more of an understanding of what your gifts are, and then you can nurture them. You can nurture them, and those can lead your life. Um, the next thing is like not fighting against what isn't your if it's not your gift, you don't have to try to fix it. Like you can live a really incredible life and not have to fix yourself. So two examples for me is I'm dyslexic. I like look at words and like I had a really hard time learning to read. I have a hard time like it's just like right and left are very confusing for me. I'm not a good speller. I'm not a good speller. Like if I look at words, they just look like a jumble to me. And I don't try like it's I don't try to like fix it in myself. I just like know that I spell stuff wrong sometimes. And I'm okay with that. And I've like cleared a lot of shame around like and I tell people, I literally will tell people because sometimes people reach out and they're like, you know, this was spelled wrong. And I'm like, I know. And I'll make posts that like make it known that hey, I'm just like dyslexic and I spell shit wrong. And if you don't want to respect me, then that's fine. Like you know, people in my life know they need to if I'm driving, they need to point right or left because I will get confused and like be like, so it's just like not trying to fix it. I thought of another example. Oh, and a great example of this, you all, is like if you are someone who has experienced trauma and you have um like triggers that can come up or like things that can remind you of that or like you're sensitive, right? You have a lot of sensitivity. We make this wrong and be like, oh, I just need to operate in these ways. But when I actually learned to design my life in a way, or like my adrenal fatigue, which like was interconnected with my trauma, when I learned to design my life to actually support that and really like the people in my life are emotionally intelligent. The um the the way I run my business is supportive to my body and my well-being. Like I'm not trying to fight against that, you know? Okay. Your values. Your values will become clear from your gifts and they'll become clear from just like what's really true for you. So if something doesn't feel aligned with your integrity, and integrity is something that only you can say, it's like it's not this like moral high ground. It's not like um, shame, like asking you to be a certain way. It's really like aligning yourself with truth at the deepest way. Um, but like again, example for me is like I value having an ease-based business. I value my business being aligned with my gifts, being a pleasurable experience for me, feeling really supportive and nurturing. And part of that goes from working with my gifts and working with what aren't my gifts, which again, like it not being gift isn't like a wrong thing, right? It's not like oh I'm like weak at this or something. It's just like that it, you know what I mean? It's not that, but like align yourself with your values, helping you get clear on what you want in partnership. A lot of this will be kind of trial and error and figuring out like oh this feels good, this doesn't, and you can start to apply that in every area of your life, especially if you're in entrepreneurship. Aligning your business with your values is huge. It will help you scale tremendously, and I could talk about that all day. um okay, getting clear on what your true desires are. Okay, so I'm talking for about like 5 more minutes and then we're going to get into our practice. Your true desires. So there's true desires, right? And so like this isn't about, you know, a lot of people on a spiritual path will be like, oh, I have to like have no desire. No, it's not that. And but it's also not just about letting your desire run rampant. It's about understanding like that there's desires that are going to feed your ego, and then there's desires that are calling you into higher levels of coherence with like your well-being and love and wisdom. And it's learning how to discern that. So for me, one thing that has really helped is if it feels like a should, or if it feels like that I'm doing something performative or something because someone else is doing it. Like if I notice in the back of my mind, I'm comparing myself to someone else, or that I'm doing this to look a certain way, or that there's like a should energy to it, I'm like, oh, that's not actually real. That's an illusion. That's an illusion. Okay. And again, go back and journal on all of these. Another example, another thing of working with your nature is working with your body, working with your physical body. I've already talked about this a bit. Um, but understanding what your body needs. Again, my body and our bodies will shift over time. Like, I'm sure when I'm like 9 months pregnant, my body will have different needs than what my body is needing right now. And especially if you like, and I can talk about this as a woman who had a very irregular period for a long time, right? But like learning to take care of my cycle and nurture my cycle and work with the cycle of my body, my menstrual cycle, huge benefits, huge benefits. And it's different throughout the different phases. Um, so learning to work with your body to take care of the nature of your body, depending on where your body is at in your cycle, where your body is at in your, your life. Okay. So we're going to do a practice. So, okay, this is this is like one of my core practices. It's one of my favorite practices to do. It's one of the practices I do most. I have a big catalog of practices that I've learned, and the thing that I like to see it as is like a toolbox. Okay. So what I teach in all of my classes, like in Wealthy, in we're going to have this in Sacred Sales, in Identity. We'll definitely 100% be doing this in Whole School of Being. But what I encourage you to do, if you aren't already, you might already be doing this. And if you're someone who likes learning these things, then I'm a really good person to like help you learn more, is to create a toolbox of practices, a toolbox. Yeah. And these practices are things that you can come back to again and again. Okay, yay. All right, yeah. So this is the point. I'm going to be explaining the practice, and then you can always, if you need to go. The practice isn't going to be super long. It'll be about like 10, 15 minutes. So, yeah, so it's having this toolbox of practices that you can refer to. And by a toolbox, these are differing practices. And when each practice, this is something I always train my clients to do, when each practice is going to benefit. Like, if you have a hammer and you have a screwdriver, when you use the screwdriver is different when you use the hammer. And if you use the hammer when you're supposed to use the screwdriver, it probably will mess things up. Like it'll like split your wood or whatever, like, so it's understanding, and it's not that severe, right? Like you're not going to mess yourself up, but like, an example of this again is like the plant medicine thing. Someone's like constantly doing ayahuasca when they really just need to like do some somatic work and like be sober. But like, so it's understanding the tools and having this plethora of tools. And so these tools, this tool today is really good for a lot of different things. I'm going to talk about what this is, but the tools that I'm teaching in this space are really going to be about like taking care of your body, your physical body, your emotional body, coming into deeper contact with your essence, with your core of love and wisdom, opening up to your spiritual gifts, opening up to your voice and your expression, understanding who you truly are, understanding the nature of yourself and your body, understanding what you actually want in life. These are the practices that are going to be happening here, happening in Whole, and I'm going to be sharing one of them today. Other containers like Wealthy, like Sacred Sales have like Wealthy, for example, I give you a plethora of practices that are designed for money, right? And different things that come up with money. So this practice, again, is one of my favorite practices, and it can apply everywhere. I've been teaching it for years. And it's called, so I used to call it like Fear to Truth, but for a long time, that was the first name that came to me. And I remember the first time I really publicly taught this class was in like, in Bloom, the course Bloom. Some of you I know have been in Bloom, which was like, I taught it initially in like 2021. But it's not just fear. So today I sat with it and I was like, you know what? I always give this disclaimer of like, it's not just fear. So I actually changed the name today. It's called Illusion to Truth. So illusion is like fear, any shadows that aren't really truth. Sometimes it helps us do see that like, sometimes we might have a fear that comes up of like, example of this in a business context is like, I have a fear that if I get more clients, I won't be able to handle them. And there might be some truth to that. There might be ways that you need to put some automations in, or you might have to like hire someone eventually. You don't have to do those things now. Like I'm in a process of scaling back up my business after taking a big break. And I know that as it scales, like sometimes I have that fear come up and then I'm like, oh yeah, but I know how to do that. I'll hire more help. I'll delegate things. And I like know how to do that. But some of it might be just straight up illusion. And this is so good for like anything because it helps you just get really clear on what's true and what's not, and how to lead your life, and how to show up, and how to speak, and how to treat yourself. And so we're going to do it. And we're going to do a quick practice with it. But this, again, this is something I use this almost every day. You can do it really quick. You can take longer with it. Sometimes I lead people through it in like a longer sense. So here we go. I'm going to actually put on a song for you all. So I have to hit the share button. There. There. Oh, here it is. All right. So if you're somewhere where you can be comfortable, great. Go ahead and start to be aware that we're going into the practice space. I think I have this at the right. Let me know if you can hear the music and you can hear me. Someone give me a like yes if you can hear the music and you can hear me. I think it should be at the right pace, right place. Ooh, I'm hot. This room is hot today. Okay. So we're going to start. I always love to start practices by looking around your space, noticing colors, textures, where you are in space and time. Letting your breath start to deepen. That will help your body soften. Eyes. Breathing deeply. You can keep moving if you want, or come into stillness. But start to turn your awareness inward, and you can notice anything coming up for you. You might feel any areas of tension. You might feel excitement. You might feel contraction in some areas, open. The breath slow down and soften. To become deeper into your lower belly, deeper out through your rib cage, deeper into the collarbones, and keep that more base. The imagery that really helps me with taking deep, rich breaths. It's like your body is a face. And as you breathe, that breath pours and it starts to fill up from your lower belly all the way up. Like you're filling. Just see if you can take the breath with that imagery of face breathing. And we're going to call in support. So you don't have to do anything alone. Support from their teachers or guides you want to call in. Or process or in your practical. And now start to notice if there's any areas where you are experiencing what feels like it might be illusioning. So, what this might feel like is a dark space, a contraction, a feeling of heaviness, perhaps like a veil sensation. There's no right or wrong answer. This might be something that you can physically feel. It might be something you feel or see or hear, or a thought. It might be a story that you're holding. And whatever just comes forward, just let it come forward. You don't need to go chase it, but just whatever comes forward, it's the right thing for you to engage with at this time. So continuing to breathe deeply and feeling into where this veiled illusion area is. And almost like you're having a conversation with this part of yourself, let it know that it's welcome here. You are welcome. You are safe. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to wrong you. You're welcome. I want to hear you. I want to engage with you. And just start to listen and witness. So you might hear, this part of you might be telling you something. You might see visuals or feel sensations, or there might be something that comes up from your past, but just witness. And again, reflecting, you're safe, you're supported. And if your mind wanders, just bring it back. Okay? So take a moment and perceive and witness this area. Asking, what are you trying to say? What are you feeling? What are you needing? And you might feel a deeper sensation in your body. You might feel emotion. All of that is welcome. Just follow the thread. And see if, as you perceive and witness, if it starts to shift. If it doesn't shift yet, that's okay. You might again or do it on your own and take a little time with it. But see if anything starts to shift. See if any physical sensations come along, or if there's anything you can give to this part of yourself. It might be like nurturing flowing from one part to another. It might be support coming in somewhere. It might be like acknowledging and validating, like asking and seeing if you can give what this part needs, what it's asking for. And just allow it to soften, allow it to shift, allow it to transform, allow it to reveal its wisdom. What is the wisdom that is coming through? What is the truth that is coming through? And see if that truth and that wisdom has a place where it lives, has sensations, textures, a voice, any remembrances, any wisdom to share with you. Receiving it, letting it integrate into your body, into all the systems of your body, into your awareness, your perspective, your thoughts, your words, your actions. Expressing gratitude for this truth. And gratitude for this awareness. And then thanking all of the helpers, thanking yourself, taking a deep breath, and then slowly letting yourself start to come back to your space, looking around. And then slowly, as you're ready, coming back to the calm. I hope my voice was clear on that. I'm seeing this comment. Go to the chat box. First of all, let me know if you could hear everything okay. And then second of all, I'm bringing my computer closer to me. Let me know. Okay, great. Let me know what came through for you. So I actually did the practice too at the same time. Sometimes when I'm guiding practices, I see what comes up for me too. I actually sometimes advise people to do that. Like when you're holding space, sometimes not, but sometimes it helps to pace a practice. And you can tune in with yourself and tune in with others at the same time. And it helps you, like I said, pace it. And I noticed I actually felt like this veil, like a shadow here. And it was like my amygdala, like my fear center, because I'm moving in the next week. And I've had a lot of fear come up around it, which is actually like me working with some remnants of PTSD from being displaced from my home. And yeah, I felt it like start to like wash away. And I also heard like I felt this like wanting to be in water, which actually where I'm moving has a pool and a hot tub. So that feels really exciting. That's like heated year round. And yeah, and just like this like acknowledging that the fear is there and that it's like okay. Yeah. I felt the unsafety connected to a situation. What I saw is that the feeling is justified and there's more going on under the surface. Yeah. So this is a powerful practice to go into. This was a quicker version of it, but there's been times where I've devoted like 2 hours to doing a practice like this. I guided a client through a practice like this yesterday, which there's like other things I can bring in and other things I can move around with it. But we like explored a couple different areas in her relationship to her business. And the practice was like an hour long. Great, beautiful. Okay, so you all, pull my notes back up. And pause my thing, my music. Pause my music. So I want to talk about some awarenesses that are going to help you. So this is about integration. This is really important, and this is something that people ask me a lot because they'll come to a class or like again an example of this is with my client yesterday. She was like, how do I integrate this? I feel like I need to like go out and do something with this. um but integration really comes from pacing. Like again, it's not just chasing these peak experiences, chasing like fixing, but like pacing. There's a pacing to it. And so it's about like balancing this process of, sometimes you're doing shadow work where it's like things are detoxing, things are clearing, with the nurturing, the resting, the taking care of yourself, balancing healing experiences with things that um or healing can be a lot of different things, but things that feel like, grieving with going out and feeling a lot of pleasure and joy. Um yeah, balancing like the same thing in your business, balancing work with like rest and enjoying the fruits of your labor. These are the things that will help you sustain transformation long term, is like having this balance and avoid and letting it unfold at a very organic pace and meeting the present moment, releasing attachment to timelines of like when things are gonna like happen. This is so good if you're running a business too. Like when things are gonna happen in your business. No, you actually embrace the journey as the reward and know that the results are coming if you just keep showing up. Um, and then it's actually valuing that process of integration, of letting things really sink into your system. This is like, you know, again, like going out and doing all the things, but actually not integrating. So it's not chasing outcomes by trying to like find solutions. It's valuing letting this sink in, valuing letting it, hey, Bobby, you're okay. My dog just woke up and he's like, excuse me, it is me time, but it's not you time yet. Okay. Um, yeah, valuing that process of integration, of listening to life. Um, yeah, and I will say, like, there is there's such value in being held. This is something that I have learned to value immensely. Part of opening to life, like I used to feel like I was completely alone, and I used to be like alone a lot. Um, but learning how to let people in, learning how to be in community, learning how to be held and to receive has helped tremendously. I work with powerful teachers and healers, coaches who I highly value and respect. I'm in a incredible women's circle. I go to retreats. Like actually letting myself be held is just like so powerful, and let myself be poured into and transmitted to. Um, yeah, and so like with that process of integration from this class, if you are really liking this work, this is going to continue in whole whole School of Being. This is my first time running it. I'm really excited. There are 6 amazing humans. I know every single one of them inside already. And this is like a space where you will be able to integrate some of the things we talked about today and more. Okay. So if you're feeling called to do this work whole, or maybe even some of my other containers, like if you want to focus specifically on money or business, a really great place is the Heart Led Business Collective, because it's I took the whole ecosystem, like all the nutrients. There's 6 different nutrients of what it takes to run a very thriving business: money, your relationship with yourself and your well-being, um, scaling systems, and this isn't the correct order. There's actually a better order for this. Um, community, which includes content, sales. There's another one, but you can find all that on the Heart Led Business Collective page. But that is an amazing, amazing place to go to, because you get literally everything for like a super fraction of what it would cost to buy everything separate, plus bonuses like weekly hot seat coaching calls. You get one support from me. Talk about whole a little bit now, and what happens as you're integrating this work. So I talked a bit at the beginning about what happens as you continue to integrate what we talked about here, but it really, like I said, it changes everything, because you're not moving from life from this place of shame or fear. You're learning how to like, you keep dissolving those illusions, and it becomes your more and more of your default state, that like love and courage and like power is driving this show. So everything in your life becomes more true. Like, and that's really the best way to say it. Everything in your life becomes more true. You become more of yourself. You become more physically radiant. Your physical body becomes healthier. Your business thrives more. Your relationships become more like reciprocal and nurturing and loving. If you go through challenges, which you do because this is life and people die and people get sick and we all age, like loss is a real thing, you can navigate it so much more gracefully and powerfully because you have this well of inner resources. Um, the conflict, the cognitive dissonance, the shame, it all starts to dissolve, and you really just like you really understand your nature, you understand who you are, you can come back to it again and again, and you run your career better, your business better, like and not better, like it's just like more true. It's that like again, that's the best way for me to say it. It's just like things become more easeful, more peaceful, you become more confident. Your voice becomes more clear, your gifts like become alive, and it's like full like it really touches every area of your life. But again, this is what happens when you go to the core of your being and you nurture the core of your being. It impacts literally everything. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in whole. I'm really excited. I have been feeling this brewing in me for quite a long time. So this is a 4.5 month long container. There are 9 calls, so 10 including this call. So there's 10 total calls. So if I count this, like it's actually 5 months. Um, so each call, there's going to be a different theme, and it's actually, it goes in this progressive order of opening up over time. I'm really excited about it. And that opening, and it takes you through this like really paced process of working with these things, and I'm going to be guiding you and holding you, giving you transmission, teaching things like we did today, and a practice. And we'll have a bit longer for the practice. The practices will be a bit longer than the one we did today, and it will be around that theme. And we'll have community time for Q&A. It's so helpful to be able to speak and share and use your voice and ask refinement questions. Like that's so powerful. So that each call is going to have that, and it's going to go along this process of opening up, opening up. So we're going to start, we're going to have some more pre-work, and the next call is going to be about like, again, more around perspective building and things that are going to help you go through this process, because I'm not going to lie, it's a very deep process. It's going to be a very deep process, and like there might be things that come up and like shift in your life because of this. Like when I do this kind of work with people, like people will have big career changes, people will have big shifts in their businesses, people might have relationship changes that happen. Like that might not happen, but like it might happen, and not in a way that's always like scary, like in ways that are really good. But this is the work that will set you up for it. So then we're going to go into grounding our systems, really like solid roots, because all growth has to come. Here's my plant friend, my monstera. Like without roots, this plant would not be able to continue to grow, and grow it does. Grow it does. Look at that baby, right? So we're going to be nurturing our roots, letting ourselves tap into our creative power, our ability to co-create and to shift things, and to like what it actually means to manifest, what it actually means to be a creator in your life, and bringing out that power. Um, like like letting this fire in your system start to come alive, right? We're going to be, again, I bring in a wide variety of practices. So elemental practices, working with the elements, working with the fire and the water and the earth. Somatic practices, which our bodies like also incorporate the elements. Um, like consciousness, awareness practices, breath. Um, I have so many tools, you all. It's like really, it served me a lot. I'm really excited to bring them to you. We're going to be working with your heart, opening up your heart to experience more depth of love for yourself and for others in your relationships, in your business. I can tell you with 100% certainty that one of the biggest, I call the Heart Led Business Collective, the Heart Led Business Collective for a reason, because like having my heart be a one of the guiding posts in my business is one of the reasons I've been able to have a lot of success. Having so much love for my clients and my work and what I do, and letting that guide me, letting that guide my values is so powerful. So again, transmission practices, all of that. We're going to get into like deep philosophy. It's going to be really fun. If you're kind of nerdy like me, you're going to love it. Working with your voice, your expression, your channel, your channel, your singing, your musical abilities, all of this is going to open up. Your sight, right? And I don't mean sight like physical sight. I mean like your intuitive sight, your ability to see truth, your ability to perceive. Some people might call this like your psychic awareness, your like your ability to, it's just like an ability to comprehend, your ability to perceive, your ability to see truth, so that you can really navigate life in this way where you have this deep, really powerful knowing. Um, and then, yeah, like working with letting all of the pieces come together and all of it integrate in this whole being. So this is a really, again, this is body healing. This is nervous system, working with your nervous system and all the systems of your body. This is stepping into a role of being a mystic and a intuitive, and which isn't something that you just like go out there and decide to be. It's like it's I think it's who we all are at our core. My dog knocked over my glass, but it has a okay. You want to say hi? Okay, great. So it's who we all are at our core. Thank you. That's good. That's good. I know you're a guard dog. It's okay. I will continue my sentence. It's who we all are at our core, really, is this being that has like so much love and power and clarity and wisdom. And it's really like, again, it's simple, but it's not always easy. And it can take time to learn and to integrate and to really embody the concepts and the ways of operating and the practices. So this is really good for someone who like is down to do that level of work. There's 2 weeks between each class because I want you all to integrate. There's also Telegram so that you can come in and be sharing things and like being in your process, like being held between the calls. But this is really for someone who like you kind of have a part of you that likes doing homework. You like learning things and really, really integrating them. So you're willing to like keep doing the practices. You're willing to not like, again, not from this like shame place of learning, but like from like you love this kind of work. You love being in a practice space. You love nurturing your inner world. This is really, really, really for that kind of person. So yeah, Whole is starting in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, April 30th. We'll have the first quote unquote second call. And I'm going to be talking about it up until then. I'm not doing an early bird or anything like that. I don't feel called to do an early bird. I'm just going to be sharing it. It is either $250 a month for 4 months, or it is $900 paid in full. So that is one option. But I will say, and I like, if you are someone who, especially if you are an entrepreneur and you're really feeling called to my work and being in my containers, the even better option is going with the Heart-Led Business Collective, because you get whole, you get wealthy, you get sacred cells, you get identity, you get scale, you get bloom, you get, there's at least a few others I'm forgetting. You get weekly live calls that are just for hot seat coaching. I get to know you in this space. Like people come and they like share their experience of what's going on there. But like, I know you, I know your business. I am watching you in your business, and you get one-on-one time with me. So I do a like an audit and a onboarding call with every single person. There's options for more one-on-one time if you want it. But that place, like honestly, I calculated if I added up everything separately, it would be like, if you bought everything separately, it would be like $18,000. But it's I forget what the pay in full amount is right now, but it's $350 a month, and it's a year-long container, and it is like the space for massive transformation. It really is. So if you're thinking about working with me, that is like an awesome container to do it, because you just receive so much. Or you can just join Whole if you're feeling called to Whole and doing this work. Ah, okay. So do I feel called to say anything else about this right now? Yeah, I'm so thankful to get to be here in this call with y'all today. I'm so thankful
to be, yeah, that this is my work. And again, I'm like, I feel this about all my clients. And I feel this about myself. I'm like, of course, this is like who I am. This is who I'm meant to be. This is like I did the work to get here. And I feel this about my clients too. When I see my clients come in, I'm like, duh, you're like a powerful, incredible, magical being. Like, of course you're supposed to have a like a life and career and business and love and all of those things. So I just want to thank you all for being here. If you're feeling called to work with me, those are the current options. I have one-on-one space opening up in like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, a week or two at the toward the end of the month. Like last, we'd start either the last week of April or the first week of May. And yeah, you can explore all the options and feel free if you want to reach out about anything, if you have any questions. Oh, I didn't drop. You'll be getting an email that has the replay for this, um, and also has your invitation for Whole. I just dropped the link for you so you can go in and explore. I'm going to be adding this video to the top of that sales page as well. But you'll get an email in a few hours with this replay, and you'll also get the link to Whole so you can explore it. And again, we start April 30th. The Heart-Led Business Collective is always open. So when you join, and you get immediate access. The calls are every Thursday at 11 a.m. So you can go ahead, like if you decide to join that, you can book, which I'll drop the Heart-Led Business in here too. If you decide you want to join that, you immediately start. You get immediate access to everything. I have replays for all of my courses, and then I do live rounds on them. So like you get all the replays for all the courses immediately. And then as I'm doing the live rounds over the year, which I'm always running Wealthy, but this year I'm doing Whole, then I'm doing Sacred Sales. I'll do another launch of Wealthy. And then I don't know the order yet, but like Identity and Scale, I'll figure out which one I want to do when. But those are the ones that I'm doing live. So you'll get access to all of that. And yeah, the one-on-one call with me. There's some good bonuses going on. Okay, you all, I love you lots, and I hope you have a great day. We're going to close out here. And yeah, feel free to send me a DM and let me know how this class was for you. I'd love to know. Okay, you all, bye.